Hello everyone, I'm Harrison.
And I'm Rachel.
This week we're sharing an update of our 6th month as parents and talking about some milestones. So stay tuned and join us on our journey to raise baby H.
Milestones are such a touchy topic for parents, especially as first-time parents. I feel like we were so dependent on what the internet was saying Edison should be doing and what our pediatrician was saying he should be doing that it felt stressful if he wasn't reaching those milestones in that exact timeline.
All babies grow and learn at different paces, so we've definitely had to take a step back from comparing Edison to other babies around us because he's not them. He's developing in his own time, and it's been really fun to see him learn and grow.
As time goes on, I definitely think we're getting better at viewing these milestones as guidelines, not textbooks. But today we're going to give a little update about how Edison is doing as a 6-month-old and some of the milestones we have experienced so far.
It has been a little while since we've done one of these, so we're going to start at the very beginning of the year. So in January, Edison was 4 to 5 months old, and it moved so slow. It just took forever to get through January.
And then vice versa, February, when he was 5 to 6 months old, went by so fast. I don't know if that's just because it's a really short month, or if we had started to get back into our routine, and we've been doing a lot more activities, so I think our days are going by faster.
A lot of these activities have brought their own milestones along with it that are really fun to see and just learn how Edison is going to grow and just see some of the stuff he's going to do in the future. So to start, we have been taking Edison swimming a lot more.
We've been trying to get Edison comfortable with water since he was a newborn, just with bath time and trying to get him to learn how to float at a very young age. And most of that is because of safety reasons. I think the number one cause of death in children under 3 is drowning. So it's really important to us that Edison knows how to swim.
It's really crazy that the numbers for drowning are so high. And so that's something that has always been a concern to us. But also, I grew up swimming a lot, and I just think it's a skill that everybody should have. And we want to get him comfortable around water now before he's learned that it's something that he could be afraid of. So we started by having him float in the bath. So we took him out of his little kid bathtub and just floated him in our hands. And we've slowly been working on pouring water on his face so that he's used to that. And now we're able to take him to a regular pool, and we don't use any floaties or anything. We bounce him around, and occasionally we dip his head in.
The first time we took him, he definitely was unsure about the temperature and just the noises. It was an indoor pool, so it was kind of a loud environment. But the more that we've been taking him, he seems to get a little bit more comfortable each time and is starting to play.
The hardest challenge when it came to another pool was definitely the temperature. So when we first get him in the water, he always thinks it's really cold and he just is really upset about it. So what we have found works really well is get him wet, play for a little while, and then just hold him outside of the water. Then once his body can kind of get used to that temperature, we put him back in the water and then it feels really warm. So he has been doing much better with the water. And then we like to bounce him on our knee or just go up and down and keep his head above water the entire time. And that kind of gets him used to playing around in the pool, or we take him to the splash pad area.
And for a while, it was all just floating, keeping his head above water and trying to get him to enjoy being in the pool. But this most recent time that we went, we actually did dunk him completely under the water, so he starts to get used to the idea of closing his eyes and holding his breath.
Rachel was not crazy about this idea of dunking him, but around 5 to 6 months old is when your baby will start to develop this habit of holding their breath. And so if you can get them to realize when I come close to water, I need to hold my breath, it's going to make swimming so much easier because they're just not going to panic when water is all the way around them. So when we've been bouncing him, we blow in his face to get him to hold his breath, and then we take him a little bit further. And then when it comes to actually dipping his head all the way in the water, we've been making sure he can see the water and that he knows it's coming, and then just dipping him really, really quick. The first couple times we've done this, he ends up coughing a lot, and that is okay. You just need to make sure that you wait until he's caught his breath before you do it again.
And what's nice is that the pool that we went to has a warm water section, so we took him into just the regular pool water at first to play. And then when it was time to do more of the dunking and that type of practice, we moved over to the warmer water. So it was more comfortable for him.
It has been really fun to take him swimming, and it's just one of those little milestones that we have been able to appreciate that no one really is going to tell you when you go to the doctor, and just seeing him get more comfortable in the water. Because now that he's interested in sitting up, when you put him in the water, he tries to sit up in the water. But as we are there longer and longer, he starts to relax, he starts playing, and it's just nice to know that he is comfortable swimming.
Another thing that we do every week is go to story time at the library. And I think it's been nice because we go to story time, we go to the pool, and so we have a nice balance of a couple days we're out doing activities as a family and a couple days we're spending at home.
We've talked a little bit about story time in earlier episodes, but it's really nice for him to hear books from other people, to see kids that are about his age, and just to sing songs and dance in just a whole new environment. So we have really, really enjoyed it, and it's helped us have a routine that's not necessarily the same thing every day, but is still consistent for him.
His routine is getting pretty solid. I would say that almost every day, now that the weather is nice, we go out for a walk, at least to the mailbox. If it's nicer, we'll take a little bit longer lap. And then we also make sure that we play inside, and then the evenings is family time.
Sometimes we're able to go to the park, which is really nice, and he has really been enjoying the swings. So he's starting to have interest in sitting up and wants to do that on his own. So the swings are really great because he kind of has a little bit of room that he can wiggle around, but he's also supported and he's moving, which he loves to do.
Once we hit March, our schedule has kind of taken off. And we've spent a lot more time away from home than I think either of us were expecting. So a lot of our time lately has been spent just really trying to keep Edison as consistent as possible. So when we're taking him to travel or to go to all these new places, he doesn't freak out.
We knew that traveling was a pretty big part of our lives and that we are kind of restless people and tend to do a lot of things. So we wanted to make sure that he's comfortable in many different environments, and without having to work very hard, I think that we have been able to do that. Anytime we go to somewhere that's new, he's usually pretty calm and just chills.
I would say he does really well in new environments. There is not anything yet that we have found that startles him or makes him upset. I will say the one thing that we have been noticing lately is that he is super attached to me and Harrison. So he'll do perfectly fine in any environment that we throw him in as long as he's with us. But as soon as you start handing him to other people, he gets upset.
This past weekend, we were at a baby shower for my sister, and he got so upset when we handed him off to my grandma or his great grandma. And this is just something that he's been doing more frequently because he's really comfortable with us. He sees us all the time. And so when he sees somebody new and has been passed to them, I think it worries him. So it's really sad to see him uncomfortable with family members, and we're hoping that as we do more of those activities in the future, it will help with this.
It is one of those weird parenting things that nobody really talks about, of just like when you're seeing other people with your baby around and they're just not having a great day, like you just feel so bad as an adult because you're like, I know that this is stressful for them. It's stressful for me as an adult. And so you want to cater to your baby and you completely understand why they are acting that way. But you also don't want all the other people around to think that your baby is a brat or just isn't adapting well. And like, we're not teaching him how to be adaptable.
It's really crazy because you can tell that Edison is feeling very similarly to how we are, and that the mood that we have definitely affects him. So when we're in a very stressful environment, it's obvious that he is stressed. Another thing that could have been making it much worse is that Edison is teething right now.
He has popped a tooth, and I read that the 72 hours leading up to that tooth breaking through the skin is the most painful point of teething for a baby. So we were kind of relieved that when that tooth did come through, he kind of had a couple days of just back to normal, being a really happy baby. And then it's all started up again. He's getting more upset. He's chewing on things and uncomfortable. And so it's just a really difficult time as parents.
But that little tooth is so cute. So it's just the one right up front. And what's crazy is it feels like it took forever for that tooth to pop through. We have been seeing it in his gums for a while, but now that it's popped through, it seems to be coming in really, really quick. And a significant portion is sticking out. So now when he smiles, you can just see this one little tooth peeking out above his lip. And it's just really cute.
His little smile, it just melts my heart right now.
He's working on a couple other teeth, and he probably will have one more in the next week or so. But we were kind of laughing about this because he's going to have to do this like 31 more times before everything is done.
Another thing that he can do right now is bear weight on his feet, and he loves to bounce. So we have one of those things that you hang from your door, and he can bounce in that, and he loves it. And then also if we're just holding him on our lap, like he'll kind of bounce there and he just has a great time.
So the point that Edison is at right now, a lot of the visible growth is going to slow down until about 1. So he's probably about the size that he's going to be for a little while. And we actually have a nephew that just turned 1, and it is crazy how similar in size they are. And so Edison's probably going to be in the same diaper size for several months.
He's only going to gain about 4 to 5 more pounds in the next 6 months, which is crazy to think about because in the first 6 months of his life, he gained 10 pounds. So the growth is going to slow down like half as much.
Now, even though he's not going to be growing in size, he's still going to be growing in lots of other ways. So he's going to start developing a lot more muscles that he uses regularly, and he also is just going to start learning so many cool skills. The next thing that's on our radar is to start solids. We're going to be doing that sometime this week, and I'm sure we'll have lots of updates to tell you how that goes.
So some of the milestones that we have experienced with Edison so far is some of the basics, like pretty early on, he was holding his head up really well, which happens from doing tummy time. And he just started to get, you can notice like better control over his body parts.
He started rolling from back to front around 5 months old, and he can roll from front to back, but he really doesn't like to do this very much. He tends to roll from his back to his stomach, and then he just scoots and plays, and that's kind of it.
He is sitting up with support, and he can maybe get 3 or 4 seconds without support, but really day by day, it's getting so much better. I think he was in the high chair earlier today, and I was like, whoa, he's like sitting up way straighter than he was like a couple days ago.
It's really funny when you set him up by himself without any supports, because what usually is his downfall is he gets excited that he's sitting up, so he straightens his legs out and just kicks back. And obviously he doesn't sit up through that. And so it's kind of funny that in his own excitement, that's what's knocking him over.
One of the most fun things about this age is that he's starting to talk to us, and he's really close to saying dada, and it is the cutest thing I've ever heard.
It is pretty cute, but I don't know if he's really that close to saying it. He really only makes that sound when he's angry, and I'm just not willing to admit that he only says dada when he is angry.
Yeah, but it's still cute.
What has been fun is we've been thinking about how do you get him to learn association with those words when he doesn't understand a whole lot. So what I've been doing lately is anytime he says dada, I'll try to come to him so that he at least knows like that that's what those words mean. And hopefully pretty soon he'll start saying mama too.
He's also using his hands to grab at things. If we put him on his play mat, he'll bat at the toys above him. He's loving to pull things into his mouth because of the teething, and he can clap his hands.
Overall, it's pretty crazy how much Edison has grown in just half a year. There are a lot of times when we're sitting doing something with Edison that it's crazy to think that just a few months ago, he wasn't able to do any of this. So it's really fun to see him grow, and I can't even imagine how much he'll grow in the next couple months.
5 to 6 months went by really fast, and it's amazing to see how much Edison changed in that short time.
Next time, we're going to review our registry as first-time parents. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.